Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to this exclusive series. Yes, welcoming you all on behalf of Media and Entertainment Skills Council. This is Pooja Arora, and really happy to see you all joining us on the Creative Warriors Workshop powered by Vidyadaan in association with Global Media Education Council, GMEC. Yes, we are here with another session, a very fruitful two sessions were there, and today we are talking about media laws and ethics. Media laws and ethics are some set of rules, is what we understand, designed to protect the basic rights and freedom and to treat everyone fairly. So, to get the in depth knowledge, we have today with us Dr. Moumita Das. She's an assistant professor at the School of Media and Communication at Adamas University in Kolkata, West Bengal. She's also the editorial consultant for International Justice Mission in Kolkata. She has 15 years of experience in teaching, reporting, and copy editing. She completed a year in the pilot project of BBC iLearn system in South Asia. She has worked across multiple prestigious organizations, including Hindustan Times, Times of India, The Exhibit, and Electronics for You Group, and many more. She was also associated with MAKAUT as an examiner and scrutinizer of media science between 2012 and 2019. So good to have you with us, Ms. Das.
Thank you, Pooja, for this wonderful introduction. And welcome to all my audience. Hope that we can connect to the idea of what is media laws. And the title goes as Media Ethics, the Challenges and Beyond.
Yes, ma'am. So I'll
So,
hand over the session to you, and I'll be learning at the back end because it's a really interesting topic, and everyone, not just media professional, but I feel everyone should be aware of it.
thank you, Pooja. So, I hope that my screen, I can share it.
Yes.
Yeah. Hope it's visible to your screen.
Yes, it's visible.
So the title today is Media Ethics, the Challenges and Beyond. To start off with media ethics, I would rather say that, uh, I hope that its slideshow is not working.
Just scroll down.
Yeah. No, it's not working. We have to escape it.
Yeah, try again.
Yeah, is it visible now?
It's visible.
Yeah. Okay. Now we can start. Sorry for the interferences. Media ethics and challenges and beyond. To start off with, we would define what is law. We should know what actually we set as to define law. Law is a set of rules and or conduct imposed on the members of the society and enforced by threat of punishment for the general good. Law is seen by people differently. For someone, law is important for a society to be stable. Others feel that law restricts their freedom. This is where we will discuss that whether law restricts our freedom or not. Many more feel that law comes in handy for those who want to have power that influence others. Because law, if we don't understand law, we won't be able to understand or fathom the fact of what media ethics is all about. Why do we need law? Why the necessity of law? According to the American Heritage Dictionary, law is a rule of conduct or procedure established by custom, agreement, or authority. What will happen if we don't have laws? Without laws, society will revert back to the pre-civilization era. There will be anarchy all around, and people will spend most of their time protecting themselves. So this is where lies the necessity of law. Now coming to the Indian law is largely derived from the British common law. Much of contemporary Indian law shows substantial European and American influence. For example, various acts and ordinances first introduced by the British because they were our colonial masters are still in effect today, though many have been repealed in their entirety or phased out. Now we come to the media laws aspect. The laws that affect the press are known as press laws. The printers, the publishers, the editors, the journalists who comply to the press are the main targets of the press laws in the country. Media laws have gained importance today due to the proliferation of media and the concerns of the society about its effect on people. Media personnel need to be aware, if not through, with various acts and laws that affect professional conduct. It is imperative that the journalist knows the legal provisions concerning the protection of sources. As saying goes, a journalist is as good as his or her sources or contacts. Another concern is the blurring of the difference between what is of public interest and what is in public interest. The public may be interested in many lot of things, but it is the duty of the media to comply and to have a fine balance in what to feed and what not to feed to the and in the public interest. Now we come to the important laws that are there, integral part of media laws. So we have some historical press laws like Official Secrets Act. We still have it in our constitution. Vernacular Press Act, Freedom of the Press, Article 19(1)(a), Reasonable Restrictions under 19(1)(2), and Article 19(1)(6). To mention here, freedom of the press as a word is not mentioned in our constitution. We rather say freedom of speech and expression. That is very unique to our constitution, where press as a word is not mentioned. Then we have laws like defamation, we have contempt of court, we have censorship, we have copyright law, broadcast bill, Working Journalists Act, Press and Regulation of Books Act, Right to Information Act, then we have Prasar Bharati Act. There are certain relevant, case studies like defamation law is not constitutional. There is Swami versus Union of India, Section 499 to 502. These are some of the case studies that we will discuss later on. Few important cases that this is what is very important aspect of media law is sedition. When we talk about laws and ethics, we should be aware whether, because in our constitution, our fundamental rights are not absolute. It's not like America where the laws are absolute. We have certain reasonable restrictions to it. And sedition also is one of the sections where it is there. Supreme Court of India issued a direction to all the concerned authorities to follow the constitutional bench judgment in Kedarnath versus State of Bihar 1962, which limited the scope of sedition law, Section 124A in India. The Supreme Court has said of sedition law in India, the Supreme Court has said that all authorities would be bound by the Kedarnath judgment when dealing with cases of sedition. So in recent case studies, we have like Disha Ravi case, if you remember, in the lockdown which happened. And then we have the famous Kanhaiya Kumar case, which is one of the most important sedition cases in recent times. Then now we come to what is actually the media ethics is all about. Ethics are different from laws. You have to understand that. What is the difference between ethics and laws? Ethics are different from laws in that when we break a law, we are punished. But we fail to be ethical, we are not meted out that punishment, as befits the situation. Ethics are the moral principles of correct behavior meant for the individuals of a society to follow for the benefit of everyone concerned in civil society. Society expects people belonging to different professionals to follow and abide by the respective ethical standards. This is what media ethics is all about. So it's more about conscience, more about morals, practices, what we say, we preach, or whether we practice it or not. Now we come to by Tom Bradford, CBS News executive producer, what he said about journalistic ethics. very interesting point. He said, for journalists, picking a moral course and sticking to it has never been more difficult than now. For consumers, what publications to read and what broadcasts to watch is also very difficult, because it's a communication where we are, the media gives, and the receiving end is, at the receiving end is the audience. For audience, this is also a very challenging fact, that what to watch and what not to watch, because we know that seeing is believing, and whether the fact is whether what the audience is seeing is right or wrong, whether the facts are right or wrong. That's nowadays we can see that, during this COVID we have seen infodemic, we have seen that so much challenging things, especially with the fake, or I would rather say not fake news, but rather fake information was very, very rampant. So for consumers too, we can't deny the fact. For them, it is also very difficult to what to read or what to watch. Journalists often tell one another they don't teach you in the school, and decisions with serious ethical components often seem to be made literally by the seat of the pants on the newsrooms. So he further adds that what is difficult to reproduce in a classroom or a textbook is the quickened pulse brought on the heat of journalistic battle. However, everyone with a stake in that battle, that is reporters, editors, consumers alike, will benefit from is this structured approach to assessing the ethical choices made by the people who produce our news. It's a very, very important aspect, that while producing news, what are the criteria that the newsroom people who actually take the decision, where we can see the gatekeepers, who term them as gatekeepers, who would allow the news to be there, to be broadcast or to be read, ultimately which goes to the audience. That is very important. What kind of ethical consideration they are making, whether they're assessing the pros and cons of deciphering or sharing the news as such. So more journalists should take the time to think these matters though. Though I would here mention that journalists, we always talk about, or ethics, we expect that journalists would be ethical. I don't deny the fact that they should be ethical, but we can't deny another aspect, that they are also part of the system because they work somewhere else. If he or she is not an independent journalist, like we talk about the alternative journalism nowadays, or we talk about, when you talk about citizen journalism, there they don't have, they are not accountable or answerable to their authority, because they are independently, they are creating or producing the news. So nowadays you would find that especially the audience is shifting their outlook, or shifting their preferences to alternative or the citizen journalism, where they are preferring to also going through those news or analysis, that what is the independent journalists are stating, or citizen journalists are stating. Though I'm not stating that they don't have any agenda, but still I would rather say that they're not accountable, or they're not answerable, that why they are saying this. Okay, because they are not getting the salaries that the organization are paying the particular journalist if he or she comes under any organization. But we can't deny the fact that ethics comes as an integral part of journalism, because that's what would make you a person or an institution to do public good. That's the main motion of media, to take out the real issues, to talk about, to ask the government why. This is very important, to ask questions. These days, we are seeing that these are very challenging times, where the why is rather being shifted to statement that this has happened, that has happened, but there's no why coming. We miss that. We sometimes call upon that. The mainstream media or the organization are most of it. They have their own agenda, and they're stating or they are producing news in that aspect. I'm not naming any particular organizations, but in general, what as an audience we can see. Bradford further continues his opinion. It is clear that the onus of maintaining ethics is clearly on the journalists, and rightly so, having so much power in their pens. This is an obvious expectation. So we already, especially if we talk about press, especially in India, we have seen the evolution of press in India, especially the print, where it evolved during the colonial times, like when British was our colonial masters, and we fought for our independence. So the writings of Mahatma Gandhi or Tilak and many others such leaders, top leaders, when they have wrote, they have always kept in mind the public good. They have always questioned the decisions of the then government about their policies. So we expect that the expectation for from the audience is that press would do that ethical or maintain that moral high standards while producing news either for print or broadcast as such. So the scene in India is also not no different. Time and again, Indian media has faced the daunting question of ethically right versus ethically wrong. So be it journalists, filmmakers, or ad professionals, all have to face this ethical question sometime or the other. While dealing with ethical choices, journalists or media professionals have to keep in mind the people who will be affected by the choice. Because we have in recent times we have seen that I can give here the example of Nupur Sharma. If you remember the kind of just he uttered few lines, she uttered few lines in a live television program, and the repercussion we have seen being I come from a city where it really directly hit, though the program happened in Delhi newsrooms, one of the newsrooms where she was in a panel discussion, but the impact was so far-fetching, and it was so dangerous that with what kind of statement that the audience, the panelists are making. So as media professionals, while conducting certain panel discussions, you have to keep in mind the choice of words. You have to keep in mind the people who are there in the panel. They should not utter such, which can have such far-fetching repercussions and would lead to such horrifying incidents across the country. Because we as India, we know we are a secular country and we respect all religions. So we, as Nupur Sharma being one of the then spokesperson of the ruling party, she was expected certain, decorum or certain choice of words, should have been aware that she's on a live program. So these are all ethical terms when a person who is, the journalist who was there in the panel discussion, was conducting the panel discussion, should have been aware that to make it in such a manner so that it could have been I think it could have been avoided if this situation have been handled properly in that situation. So it's very unfortunate incident which I am uttering right now, but we can't deny the fact that journalists do have this with the society and in the moral conscience to abide by. In recent Hood study, we know that May 3rd is the World Press Freedom Day. And a Hood study finds that 54 attacks, 25 cases threatening journalists. This number might change in recent times. This is, I think, 2017 study says. Those 7 journalists were killed, reasonable evidence of their journalism being the motive for the murder is available only in one. Meanwhile, the data reveals a disturbing pattern of impunity. In 114 incidents of attacks in 2014, only 32 people were arrested. And in relation to the 28 incidents in 2015, 41 were arrested. So, people are killed, but or they're not put into any kind of, impurity is not there. Journalists are increasingly under fire for their reporting. They are killed, they're attacked, they are threatened. This is the recent number that Reporters Without Borders have come up with in 2022 edition. The Press Freedom Index, India ranked at 158th position. Very, very precarious state, 8 position lower than the last year. So you can make out the position of India right now with press freedom. And when we talk about ethics and laws, if onus lies on the journalists, it also lies with the kind of freedom, the press freedom that they have. Can the law fix impunity? So this is a very pertinent question. Interestingly, even as Minister of State for Home Affairs, Hansraj Gangaram, he told the Lok Sabha that existing laws are adequate for protection of citizens, including journalists. The Maharashtra government acceded to the demands of journalist organization, the Patrakar Hamla Virodhi Samiti, to pass a law making attacks on journalists and the destruction of property or the media persons and media houses a cognizable offense. This is very, very important point where, attacks on the media person or destruction of the property should come under cognizable offense that was, come into force. Will this help? Like the question is, will this help being a cognizable offense? The jury is still out on this, but if the focus returns to relentless follow-ups in each case at the ground level, the strengthening of journalists and their working conditions at the professional level, more networking with media rights organization, and more bearing of teeth by bodies like Press Council, the Editors Guild, the News Broadcast Association, perhaps we will get there. We know that Press Council of India sometimes being accused of being toothless tiger because they can only give judgment, but they don't have any force to deliver. So sometimes they're accused of or being the toothless tiger. They don't have that power to restrict the people who are at fault. So now we come to stifling information that is there. Meanwhile, instruments promoting transparency and free flow of information like right to information, RTI. We can't deny the fact that we have right RTI, but it has also in recent times come under attack. Unfortunately, come into attack. The report notes how the highest proportion of RTI applications were under the category of others. Like, at 43% rejections recorded under this category. As we know, the right to information is also come under one of the fundamental rights that the Constitution has given. And if that's the kind of situation where even to know information, for example, if we take example when this PM Care Fund was there, and it came under RTI, some Mohamitra filed RTI to know the facts and figures of PM Care which was created during the COVID times. But the government came up with the statement that PM Cares is beyond RTI. So no facts and figures were available because government denied it, because that's the point where it's not compulsory for the government to come up with the statistics or the figures if there's no compulsion as such that they would be answering to it, because they can come up with this kind of statement, or they can come up with Official Secrets Act, according to which if government thinks that anything which can hamper the sovereignty or the integrity or the security of the state can state that we are not interested in deciphering the information. So at 43% of rejection recorded under this category, more than 4 out of every 10 RTI applications rejected for reasons other than those of permitted by RTI. So this is the kind of situation, and furthermore, thus such press freedom reports are subject to criticism, of course, but freedom of the press is among the most important parts of freedom of speech, and that is exactly why attacks on press are direct assaults on the freedom supposedly guaranteed by the Constitution. Now we come to, every time we are so much, we talk about media's negative impact, they don't have, but now I would give one example of where India, the role of media and the positivity impact of media with one case study. Media has always been considered the watchdog of the society. It is very important to have a free and fair media in every form of government. In a vast and diverse democracy like India, it is utmost importance that the media functions without any form of bias and prejudice, as the media also takes the result of the decision. The different types of media, television, radio, etc., have helped the masses to more educated and aware of their surroundings. Investigative journalism is a type of journalism that is much into practice these days. However, investigative journalism has been a controversial issue ever since it has been practiced. Although this type of journalism raises several questions regarding journalistic ethics, for example, we can give a sting operations, whether the avenues which were used, which are used in the sting operation, whether it's right or wrong. Here, the case study can be the Tehelka.com case. We knew it that Tehelka, Tarun Tejwal, he was actually bribed by the then opposition and come up with the kind of agenda behind the Tehelka.com. So there are questions of journalistic ethics, whether it's for public good or the good of the personal experiences. So nevertheless, this type of journalism has been radically helped to shape public opinion. So although the main areas of investigative journalism mainly revolve around the areas of scandals, crime, politics, corruption, etc., this particular journalistic is not just restricted to the above mentioned fields. Now we come to the major case, which I was talking about, that which actually can say that media do have a positive impact in the society. Like, for example, the Jessica Lal murder case. So what happened in brief, we can state that the murder of Delhi model Jessica Lal by Manu Sharma is perhaps one of the most prominent cases of media interference resulting in justice. The incident took place in April 29, 1999, when model Jessica was shot dead in a party hosted by socialite Veena Ramani in her restaurant Tamarind Court. Lal was working as a celebrity barmaid in her restaurant. The main accused was Siddharth Vashisht, better known as Manu Sharma, the son of Vinod Sharma, then prominent Congress leader in Haryana. Manu Sharma, in an inebriated state, had asked for a drink from Lal, which she refused as the bar was already closed. Lal refused, refusing Sharma even after he offered money to her in exchange for a drink. This enraged Sharma, who took out his pistol and shot twice at Lal on point blank range, thus killing her on the spot. In the ongoing legal procedure, about 300 witnesses were interrogated in the court in Delhi. However, as the legal procedure carried on, all witnesses turned hostile. There were lack of proper evidences to nail down Sharma as Lal's killer. Thus, due to lack of evidence, the case had to be shut, and court acquitted the prime 9 suspects, including Sharma, on 21st February 2000. Now come media's role in this case, especially. So the final verdict, which was passed on Jessica Lal murder case, was a shining example of media interference. NDTV channel received thousands of text messages from various people urging that immediate action be taken against Sharma and the other accused. People were losing faith in the Indian judiciary, and media has thrown light on this very fact. The media, along with Sabrina Lal, Jessica's sister, successfully organized a candlelight vigil in front of India Gate in New Delhi, and various support groups were formed to support the cause of miscarriage of justice as termed by the media. These groups consisted of ethics, students, retired people, army officers, and MNC executives. Thus, India arose to the situation, and people from various walks of life were standing up for the rights denied to Lal. On 9th September 2006, news magazine Tehelka organized a sting operation on witnesses of the case, in which they revealed that Vinod Sharma had bribed them hefty amounts of money in order to stay mum. about the truth in court. This sting operation was aired by news channel Star News. A poll by newspaper Hindustan Times revealed that on a scale from 1 to 10, the faith that Indians had on the judiciary was near about 2.7. The immense public support and the growing pressure from the case was immense. Manu Sharma then was finally pronounced guilty of killing Lal. He was given life sentence on December 2006. The efforts of the media helped the case to be reopened and justice was finally delivered. This case proves that media interference dramatically changed the course of the case. The intervention of media was very much desired as the media helped the case to be highlighted. This case also unveiled the corrupt Indian system and the level to which they favor those with money and power. The mass protest that it sparked off in India resulted in the case being reopened. This is a classic example of media intervention resulting in a positive change in society. Media heavily resorted to investigative journalism in this case especially, and which paid off. And then we know that fiery headlines like "No one killed Jessica." We know that there has been a film based on it where Rani Mukherjee played a very memorable. She delivered a memorable acting. So, miscarriage of justice, Jessica Lal, the year-long battle for justice from various newspapers and journals provoked the masses into starting public protests and standing for other rights. Such was the magnitude of the fight for justice by the masses that this case was made into a Hindi film that we already mentioned by Rajkumar Gupta in 2011. This is the chronology. I'm not getting into it. Jessica Lal, and he was the Manu Sharma or Siddharth Vashisht, who was the accused, who ultimately was jailed. Then, if we remember Shayan Munshi, the hostile witnesses, which also showed that he accepted money and was influenced by the accused to state wrong, false messages or false verdict. Then this is another case where there's a negative impact of media. This case, especially, I have personal, attachment to this case, Hetal Parekh and Dhananjay Chatterjee case, where Dhananjay was hanged to death in 2004. I was then a reporter at Hindustan Times, and I had witnessed the chronology of how he was hanged, and I was given the I had a personal assignment where not personal, I was assigned by my boss at HT, where covering the school of Hetal Parekh, where they stated the condition of her. So to brief you up about this case, which actually started in 1990 and it ended in 2004 with Dhananjay's hanging. So Dhananjay Chatterjee was born in Uldihi, West Bengal, and worked as a security guard in Kolkata. He was the only person judicially executed in India in 21st century so far for a crime not related to terrorism. The execution by hanging took place in Alipur Central Correctional Home, Kolkata, on 14th August 2004. Mind you, this case happened in 1990, and he was hanged to death in 2004. That means he already languished in jail for 14 years, and we know that 14 years means life imprisonment in India. So, giving or delivering, this kind of punishment when a person has been accused for one crime, but with given two punishment is gross human rights violation. But now we don't want to involve in contempt of court because it's the justice delivered by the court. But we would be very, asking questions. It's not wrong that why it happened. Dhananjay had been charged the crimes of rape and murder of Hetal Parekh, an 18-year-old schoolgirl, in March 1990 in her third floor apartment in Bhawanipur, Kolkata. The execution stirred up many public controversies and attracted attention from media. Dhananjay was convicted on the basis of circumstantial evidence only that he has consistently maintained his innocence throughout his trial and imprisonment, which lasted more than 14 years. Dhananjay was he framed? Dhananjay had been awarded the death penalty because the murder had been preceded by rape, which the Supreme Court regarded as a heinous combination of the offenses aggravated by the fact that as a security guard, Dhananjay had been in charge of the victim's safety. However, after his execution, several facts came to light that raised doubts about whether there had been rape at all. The post-mortem report indicated fresh tear in the hymen, but almost absolutely no marks on the lower part of the body of the deceased. The victim's T-shirt was in place while the post-mortem examination said the bulk of the 22 injuries suffered by the victim, where I have added to it like this one. This is the post-mortem report where the 22 injuries that Hetal Parekh had was all in and around face and neck, but not in the lower part of her body. So this is what it stated, that the possibility that the kind of intercourse which might have happened before her murder was a consensual act, which happened well before the murder, cannot be ruled out. That was a kind of post-mortem. The revelation of this consensual sex could have been the background of a later altercation of the victim's mother. The word rape is not mentioned anywhere in the post-mortem report. In a written reply to the question from the police, was the victim raped? The autopsy doctor only stated that he was subjected to sexual intercourse before she had died. However, while deposing in the court, the autopsy doctor said that I mentioned about the rape in reply to the queries made by the police. He also said, I had an impression while looking at Exhibit 17, the postmortem requisition contains queries from the police that the deceased had been raped and killed. It was a legal terms, like he was denying what he was stated, what the examination that he made was of a different kind. I have already mentioned the kind of Hetal's body. This is the piece which I wrote for HT Kolkata Live. I was part of the organization where I wrote an emotional piece. I'm not reading it out, but in an emotional piece where few of our friends came the day Dhananjay was hanged. After that, it was on 15th August, where there was this prayer in the school, and I remember. This is one of my colleagues who went to Dhananjay's village. He comes from a very humble background. With the pictures, you can see that the Vamshidar was his father, and Purnima was his wife. Minutes by minutes, it has been covered, how he spent the entire night before his hanging, and the dawn of despair and anger in his village, where every time he has always, till his death, he has been uttering that he is not, he's innocent. He has never said that he has committed the crime. There were conflicting emotions swamp the city. The Dhananjay case, when he was dead, this is also, I have wrote this piece, when he was dead and gone, but he's not forgotten. His composure and strength and claim for innocence, even at the hour of death, have stirred up the emotions of this city, that is Kolkata. He had already suffered 14 years. Maybe he shouldn't have been hanged. This is a sentiment running across the city. So here, I would rather say media was in a fix. How to treat this story as altogether. In one way, a 14-year-old, she was raped and murdered. Another way, where a person who's been, hanged to death, already languished in 14 years of jail. Whether, that was a very conflicting emotions that swam throughout the city. So demand for fresh investigation, exoneration, I'll come to it. That is, Dhananjay had claimed repeatedly during his trial that he was completely innocent and had nothing to do with the murder, rape or theft. He very strongly repeatedly asserted all these in video recorded interview. There's a documentary, Right to Live, by MS Satyu in 1995. He maintained his innocence till the day of his execution. And even Rodindam Shil, where he was director, also made a film, Dhananjay, based on his life and throws some light on the social injustice that was there and the major loopholes in the entire investigation process and the role of media. Since June 2015, new evidence that Dhananjay may have been completely innocent has come to light. Subsequently, there has been a growing demand for a fresh investigation into the murder of Vijay. On 24 January 2016, such a demand was also raised in the street meeting held in Chatna, Bakura, near Dhananjay's native village. Eminent professors from ISI Kolkata and social activists Debashish Sengupta, Gopal Chaudhuri, and others have come up with their published research work citing the dubious nature of the investigation and the court and the media, and named them under Guru Chandali publication. The book name is Adalat Media and Supreme Court Ebang Dhananjay Fashi, that is loosely translated as Court, Media and Society. Adalat Media Samaj Ebang Dhananjay Fashi, that is Media, Court, Media, Society and Dhananjay Execution or the hanging. The work tries to detail the boundary conditions of the murder, the incompleteness, and also the biasness in the investigation, and also the media, the role of media, and the social superstructures to influence the judicial system of the state. So this is what two divergent case studies. One is Dal, where the positive impact, where she was delivered, even after her death, she was delivered the justice. But here in this case, where for 14 years after, even media could have come up with or might have written or Vijay or kind of candle march should have been also with the Dhananjay, where he should not have been hanged because he's already served 14 years of jail. Media was in a fix how to do this story, and we can see that it's also a negative impact where after his death, the questions would arise that whether this was at all delivering justice. So with this, I end. If any questions, I can see Ambarish sir. I'm very afraid that in front of you, I am stating media laws and ethics. I really look up to your, guidance and your perspective of media laws and ethics, because I have always referred to your work to my students. Thank you for this session.
But I was very patiently listening to your complete lecture. It was really good because you took up two diverse case studies. That would have made, I think, to all the students who are there in this session, the whole point that you wanted to raise amply clear, because ethics is definitely a very complex area, very difficult area. And when we talk about media ethics, one thing is always there, how the media can decide about the facts, because facts are always in the hands of the investigating agencies. And if the investigating agencies are not honest in their work, as it happened in the case of Manu Sharma, or rather in the case of Dhananjay Chatterjee also, nobody knows as to what foul play would have happened at the hands of the investigating agencies. And media has to rely on the police and the investigating agencies. And number of times, not only in these two cases, number of times this has been proved that police was hand in glove with the criminals. There are so many Priyadarshini Mathu's cases also there.
Yes.
So many such cases are there. So media has a very tight rope whenever covering such cases. So
even sir, Arushi Corner case.
Yeah,
don't have any answer to it.
Yeah, but then. And then media, people, I mean, the journalists also conduct their investigations, but that has its own limitations. They are not legally authorized to conduct any investigation and all. So, but then it all depends on the wisdom of the journalist, how much they understand as to what kind of case is being reported, how much understanding they have of the legal system, of the constitution, as you are referring to this. Dhananjay Chatterjee's case, already 14 years had passed. So even if somebody would have committed a crime as per the law of the land, I mean, double punishment cannot be given. So if somebody is already there for 14 years in jail and then hanged, so means, I mean, this imprisonment for life and hanging, both punishments are being given, which also happened the same kind of thing in the case of Rajiv Gandhi's assassins. Same thing was raised in the Supreme Court, that how two punishments can be given for one single crime. So these are difficult issues, but then obviously a debate has to continue on these kind of issues. That's the only thing that media persons can do in this regard, and media educators also can raise such points so that the public opinion is mounted. More sensitization happens on the part of the budding journalists, so that when they are practicing the profession, they keep all these things in mind. So it was really a nice talk. So congrats to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your kind words. Yeah. Pooja would like to ask any questions.
Yes, thank you so much, Ms. Das, for bringing, you have actually refreshed our memory of past few cases which were handled all in a different ways. And like you have mentioned, and these are very, very popular case studies that you have mentioned. At the same time, now, when we are talking about media ethics and laws, do you think there should be more laws added for media professionals to protect them for their rights?
I think I've mentioned in one of my, slide was mentioned where the attacks on the media journalists, that should come under Cognizable Act. They should be protected. The point is, even if the people are known that who has done or that, but they are not they are not arrested for various reasons. I'm not getting into it. They might be political. There might be many other issues. I think there should be some law which should give the protection of people who actually want to say the truth. The beacon of light or hope that we are talking about with media ethics laws. If we expect our journalists to back, they have to get that from the society, the support and the system, so that they can come up with the truth, that the beacon of light, or stating the facts which the audience or the public should know. So I think there's need of the RS to protect our journalists if we really want our ethics and media to be hand in hand, or want our journalists to be protected, so that they come up with full proof and with full zeal that yes, my life will not be at stake while speaking the truth. I think there should be
there should be some protection for the people.
And the most important part is, Pooja, the point is sometimes even journalists, I would not say journalists, obviously they are part of the system. We are also not aware what are our rights. Like the media literacy here comes in a very pertinent issue where I think from the school level, the media literacy should be there, that what are our basic rights. Children are not aware that even media literacy should be part of the curriculum from the school level itself. That even we rapidly use our social media. I always say to my students that always be aware what you are speaking, what you are writing on a social media platform. You have to be very, very careful with your words, choice of words, what you are saying, what you are uploading as pictures. These also comes under all media literacy part. Obviously, with the laws where our constitution is very rich, we are fortunate that we have so many laws that are there in our constitution. But unfortunately, the consciousness or the awareness is very, very low. Even within the fraternity of journalists, I don't think so. that they know about that, for example, copyright laws, that very integral part of it happened with one of my, I run my own blog. One of the very famous regional paper just picked up one of my pictures from my blog without giving me any credit. It happened with me. Okay, so like when you are doing that without giving courtesy to, you just can't pick up any other people's work and claim it to be yours. So this is very, very basic. If media organizations are not giving importance to such things, I really pity on the system, that I think every journalist should be given training after they join the fraternity, that these are the basic laws and regulations you should be aware of your rights and laws. I think that's.
And at the same time, from the teenage level, I think this should be added
Yeah,
in the
it should
school
be part of the
curriculum,
school curriculum. I do.
because that's a very tender age when they fall prey for wrong information
Yes,
and
yes.
fell in a trap. So at the same time, I'll take one more question from you, ma'am. There's a Sangeeta. Sangeeta wants to know if we know our laws, but still we are flaunting them. Uh, okay, and if somebody is flaunting them, what should be the, they should be penalized? What is the right way to, bring that to notice?
Knowing the law but still flaunting it.
Yeah, if somebody knows the law but still
Hmm.
flaunting it as a layman or as a audience, how do you bring it to notice of others?
Uh, Very tricky question and very difficult to answer. Mostly, I would here refer to our political leaders. They know the laws. They should be. We expect that they should know our constitution, because that's the Bible for them. It should be the Bible for them. But still, we have seen that they are the ones who break the laws the most, unfortunately. Unfortunately. So here, as public, what we can do we have any choice? That's the main question. Do we have any choice? What we can do, we can see with the social media. I would rather say these days, social media is very, very important device. I would rather say that has democratized the system as together. Especially with the people who are not reachable. Like now, you can reach out to your, ministers, even your prime minister, with Twitter handles are there where you can express your views. So you can express your views to the people who want you think that they have done something wrong. So this, I think, it's a huge power that the social media has provided us with. So where there's power, there, I go by the Spider-Man's dialogue, or rather say that with huge power, you have great responsibility. So when the power has been given, we as citizens also, the responsibility should also lies with us, that how we conduct ourselves and how we express our views on our social media, not to hurt anybody else's ideas. Like we talk about pluralism or plurality of ideas, that if I think the thought process that I have, that is right, and the thought process that you have, you are wrong. If you are not with me, then you are my enemy. This kind of strategy or this kind of thought process should not be there. But nowadays, we see that if you are not with me, you are my enemy. This is very, very dangerous. I think Amrish sir would accept what,
Yeah, I would like to add just one thing here. Maybe a bit difficult to understand for many people. When we talk about criminal justice system, the whole structure of the criminal justice system is such that 60 to 70% things are in the hands of the executive. Hardly 20-30% of the things are in the hands of the judiciary. Normally, people believe and people say that this is the judiciary which will decide. But in criminal justice system, it is the state which is deciding. State means the government which is in power is deciding. Everything is in the hands of the state. If we look at the recent case of Gujarat, this Bilkis Bano case. So that makes it evidently clear. Even if in Manu Sharma's case, he was punished, but then he came out off and on parole on the recommendation of Delhi government. Judiciary has little to do in that. So our whole criminal justice system is heavily in the hands of the state, and that is how those who are in power, they are always misusing it.
That's the fact that Sir has rightly stated that this is where the challenges are all about. When we talk about the topic, the media ethics challenges and beyond, this is where the challenges lie. The main point is don't stop asking questions. We need to ask questions. Even media, the main task of media is to ask questions. That even you get your answer or not, please don't stop asking questions. Even with my students, I always ask. Even people who are there in the panel, who are listening, I would rather say that please don't stop asking questions. If you have, please do it. And no question is silly question. If you think that you have in mind, you need answer, you should ask it. Even if that person is in a high position, he needs to be accountable. Accountability is what we expect in democracy, because right is with us. We, the people of India, we know that the constitution states that. We, the people of India, the preamble states that. So that's Pooja. Over to you.
Thank you so much. It was like, seriously, a new picture has come up, like responsibility, ethics, laws, and they all need to be maintained to have a prosperous nation. So, coming back to the new media and everything, we are coming tomorrow. No, it's Sunday. Sorry, we are coming on Monday, 7 o'clock, with a new technology, a mobile journalism, which is emergence of a new form of journalism, like devices, social media, and now we need to learn what is mobile journalism by Professor Rajiv Nandi. So he's gonna give us insights on mobile journalism, and we'll be happy to know and learn about it, like how and what exactly mobile journalism is. So be with us on Monday, 7 o'clock. Till then, it's a weekend. I'd request everybody take care of yourself. The weather is changing, so please don't fall sick and take care of yourself. Stay home, stay healthy, and we all see you on Monday. Thank you so much, Team GMEC, Amrisa, Moumita ma'am, for this wonderful and encouraging, enlightening session today about laws and ethics of media.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Take care, and we'll see you on Monday evening.